So what if we decided to lift each other up rather than pull each other down? And what's made me think of this is an interaction that I had with a client who's going through a really difficult time right now, being faced with a partner with a potential terminal illness. And obviously in that facing, it's creating a lot of fears, a lot of uncertainty. She's having to grieve a future that in her mind she was invested into, that she saw, and that future is no longer the future that she foresaw, or it's completely changed, it's unknown. And obviously we know that in the unknown we can feel a lot of fear, particularly when faced with losing somebody that we love so dearly. And in that, she told me about this celebrity couple that had, and I don't know who they are because I don't follow the celebrity world anymore. But she was telling me that this celebrity couple, the guy had got a terminal illness. It had been over 10 years, and eventually he died. And this woman, a year later, has met somebody else, and she's happy. But rather than people look at her, although when I say this, because this is the media portraying humanity's perception of this, and I actually hold humanity in a much higher light than how the media portray humanity, because we have to remember that the media cherry pick the views that they want to show us so that we can see humanity the way that the media would like us to see it, which is basically as basically not very nice human beings. But that is not how I see humanity, and that is certainly not the interactions that I have with most people in society. But let's just go with this for a moment, in that there are people out there that would then judge this woman of having moved on too fast. And as my client was saying to me, this added another level of stress to what she was going through, because she was worried that whatever happened at the end, if a partner did die, that she would be judged for how her life unfolded after that. And what she was kind of saying to me was, obviously she is having some empathy with this lady, because she can understand how when you are faced with something like this, well, you start to grieve that future. You start to grieve it. You're going through a loss already, even when the person is here, because you're grieving the loss of a future that you held in your mind. And she's having to make plans in case that does happen, because she has a child. So she's, really wanting to protect her child in this. And it just made me think, why, instead of pulling people down, why can't we lift people up? Because the truth is, and I do understand why some people may look at this lady and think, oh, well, if I was with the love of my life, there's just no way I'd get over it in a year. But the truth is, nobody really knows how they would react unless they are going through that experience. And often how we think we will react to a situation consciously is usually the opposite of how we act when we are faced with that actual experience. Because when we're faced with it, subconscious fears come up that we may not be aware of, and subconscious programs are extremely strong. So I can understand why some people may feel those judgments, but when we feel those judgments, instead of projecting them out into the world, we need to sit and reflect on the self and ask the self why we feel that way and what it's really trying to show us about the self, because somewhere in the self we're judging the self. So instead of looking at this lady and thinking, oh, she's moved on so fast, why can't we look at this lady and think, have compassion for the journey that she's been through, for the trauma that she has experienced, have understanding, understand that even if she maybe hasn't healed properly, who knows, right? Because you can't know that unless you're in that situation, how quickly you will heal. We don't know where she is on her spiritual path. often with people that are spiritually awake, they actually understand that death is but a transition. Death is not the end of it. It doesn't mean you'll never see them again, absolutely not, and you will be tied together energetically, because that is how souls bond, through energy, because we are energy fields. She may understand that she will see him again. It might have made it easier to move away, to not get over it, because you don't get over the loss of someone. You're still going to feel grief. You're still going to grieve the physical presentation of that person, even if you spiritually understand that you will see them again. You're still going to feel that loss in your physical space. But rather than looking at her and judging her, even if she has moved on too fast or not, that is her path to take. And if we go through trauma, why would we then feel negative towards another that's trying to move out of that grief and trauma, process it, integrate it, and move back into peace and harmony and love? If we could look at an other, and rather than judge their trauma, rather than add to their trauma, let's lift them up with love, with understanding, with peace, with best wishes and pure intentions. And as we do that for another, we can do that for the self as well, because often if we can't do that for another, it's because we don't look at ourselves in that way. We judge the self. We don't feel unconditional love and acceptance of the self. So often it's actually about coming back to self and doing that work. But I just wanted to pose that into the field. Let's think about raising each other up, no matter what. No matter what the mainstream media tells you how to think about another, because the view that the mainstream media puts out there, the perception of humanity, is not the truth of who humanity are. They cherry pick a perception that they want us to believe, to create a story that is not real and that is not true. So let's lift each other up rather than tear each other down. That is about unity consciousness, and that is where we are moving into unity consciousness, into understanding that we are one, we are not separate. So when we tear down another, when we judge what they do, we are tearing down the self and we are judging the self. And when we lift someone up, we are lifting up the self, we are lifting up humanity, and we are creating, or we are anchoring in light. We are pulling in the new earth, the golden age, the ascension timeline that we are all on right now, that those that are awakening to can already see, feel, and experience. Thank you.